Hello again. We lead with breaking news tonight. At least 72 people are now known to have died following the floods in the Eastern Cape. Our reporters on the ground telling us in the last while that 5 more bodies have been found. One of the worst affected areas is Mthatha. Now, at a government briefing held earlier this evening, the Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Minister Velenkosini Hlabisa said that people building along floodplains has been a contributing factor to some of the devastation that we've seen this week. Let's speak now to the Minister, who's joining us, I believe, from Mthatha. Good to have your time, sir, on The Full View. I wonder if you've been appraised of the situation and heard these reports that at least 5 more bodies have now been recovered since your briefing. Are you able to confirm that for us?
Good evening, Thembekile and the viewers of SABC News. Indeed, Thembekile, when we had the briefing, we knew that there are still 4 missing school children. And there was also one other young boy who was also missing, which our search and rescue team were still on the ground. I can only confirm in the morning, because I have requested a confirmation even now. Probably before the end of the interview, I would have made the confirmation, but we knew that there are still 5 people missing, which the rescue and search team are on ground searching for them.
And am I right in saying, Minister, and I appreciate the fact that you're also waiting for confirmation, that at this stage, you don't know if these 5 bodies are of the children?
Yes, I'm not sure the number that has increased to 72, whether it will include the 4 school children, because we want to be very sensitive, because there are families involved. Before we say it is school children, I'm waiting for the confirmation, but the figure nearly tallies in terms of people we knew are still outstanding.
And Minister, are the 5 children, the 4 who would have been in the Scholar transport vehicle that got into trouble on Tuesday morning, and this one child who you say had been reported missing, are they the only people that you know to have been missing? Because I'm looking at a report now that says Gift of the Givers has found 8 bodies, including those of 3 children near Mdeni village. Is it possible that there are other people who are missing that you perhaps aren't aware of?
It is very possible, because there are people who stay alone in their rented houses, or who are 2. If both of them are swept away, there is no one who is going to report them being missing. The 4 children, we know, because in the Scholar bus transport, they were 13. 3 were saved, 6 have been discovered, and then we know 4 are still outstanding. The figures are increasing, and probably even tomorrow we will go to sleep with a different figure, because some people, you only discover a body and then you put it in the calculation, in the total figure, simply because if a person was alone in the room, there is no one who could have done the confirmation.
And then, Minister...
Yes, Thembekile, I can confirm a message has come through. The figure has gone to 78 now.
So 78. That
yes,
means...
instead of 72.
So we've gone, just to do the math, because at your briefing, we had 67 confirmed deaths. We're now at 78. So that means yes, 11 more bodies have been found this evening.
Yes. Yeah, in fact, Thembekile, this means we are in a crisis, a real disaster beside the floods. As I'm saying, even tomorrow, the more water subsides, the more people will be found. What is comforting, we have sufficient people who are doing the search and rescue, in terms of police, in terms of other organs that are specialized in this work. And it's devastating, it's a crisis, but it is a work that has to be done. And probably we still gonna find more people, as we even made a clarion call in the centers we visited, that if there is someone you have not seen for the past 2 days, report that person as a missing person. And also it's going to be a task to do the identification, as some people who are staying alone, there will be no one to identify except a person who will be the neighbor who can do the identification.
And Minister, we're also waiting to see tomorrow the arrival of President Ramaphosa in the Eastern Cape. You were talking today at the briefing about a disaster classification, which, if I'm correct, is not quite the same as a disaster declaration. Is the call on the latter, the disaster declaration, is that what's going to be decided during the visit by President Ramaphosa?
The classification is within the competence of the manager for disaster management, which is Dr. Stolen. In terms of the law, he has done it. The minister would have made a declaration, and there is no need for a declaration because I need to formulate regulations, gazette them, someone might challenge them, yet the classification is complete to activate all spheres of government as from today, to intervene where funds are available to fix the damage or appeal to a superior structure in terms of intervention.
Is there a rough estimate that government is looking at in terms of what it's likely going to cost at this stage to repair the damage suffered in the Eastern Cape?
It is not easy for now, Tembegile. That is why I made a commitment that I'm coming back on the 7th of July, and I requested the officials to work speedily to collect data so that we are able to know how much is involved. As we are at the beginning of the financial year, we are going to meet the intervention in terms of disaster funding. But the truth that we must say, Tembegile, the houses that were washed away, which are on the floodplains, there is no way to rebuild them because they were not supposed to be there. But the infrastructure, the roads, bridges, other community infrastructure will be attended to in the 4 provinces which have been classified: KwaZulu-Natal, Eastern Cape, Free State, and Western Cape.
And Minister, just on the issue of the homes built on floodplains, if you say you can't rebuild there, where will these people be taken to? Because in some of these communities, these have been their homes for many years.
Audio?
Okay. In the areas that I visited.
Hi, can you hear me?
Apologies for that. I think someone else is trying to connect with you, Minister. I'm going to just give us a moment to see if maybe your team can mute that for us, and I won't keep you much longer because I'd imagine there are other broadcasters always trying, or also at least trying to speak to you for confirmation. But I was asking you about what's going to become of the communities who can't go back to the areas where they were because they're so prone to flooding. Will they even agree to move? Because even that has been a challenge for government in the past. And is there a portion of land already identified for them to resettle?
Tembegile, I visited 4 areas in which the communities are settled in the community halls. We engaged them and they saw with their eyes their houses overcome by water. And many of them, if not all of them, would prefer to get an alternative land to rebuild because we do not know when again the storm might strike in the very same area. This is a conversation which we must engage the whole of South Africa, because there are many communities on floodplains. And some of them, when you talk to them, they say, we have been here for 10 years. Nothing has happened to us. And then you will say, look, at Umtata, they were there for many years, but the storm swept many people away. This is a conversation that we must engage in, we must confront, we must persuade our people that it is better to save lives than to come and intervene when many people have died.
But Minister, there's also a problem, right? Because people don't arrive in their hundreds in one area overnight. It raises the question of why the local authorities were not acting as they should have to stop people in the first instance from building there or erecting structures or removing them once that had happened. It's a recurring South African problem where we are reactive instead of proactive. So surely the local authorities have to bear some responsibility for having created an environment where this was allowed to happen.
In this case, it is a slightly different Tembegile. I agree generally. That area is a privately owned land. It does not belong to the municipality nor the traditional authorities. It is related to a person and church related. People invaded it. And you know, if you want to evict people, you must go to the court of law. A person church-related might say, I can't afford to go to the court of law, I will let them build. And there is no one who can intervene, either a municipality, because it's a privately owned land. But now, we need to go beyond what is statutory and become human and approach these people, that you can't reside here. No one is going to take you to court because the owner of the land may not have means to do so. But you become our responsibility at the end of the day. Can we find another area where you can rebuild yourself?
Minister Velenkosini Hlabisa, good to talk to you. I'm sure we'll be speaking much more over the coming days. Minister for Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs also confirming the death toll from the floods in the Eastern Cape has now risen to 78. It was sitting at 67 just 2 hours ago. So 11 more bodies have now been found in those ruins in the Eastern Cape.